So in this video, I'm going to make an AI character that goes up and says hi to people. So he's running around this track, and if he gets close, he's going to come up, say hi. That's kind of close. But then he'll continue on with his track. Then he sees Bill. He's going to go talk to Bill. I thought that was pretty cool. It's the makings of a state machine, right? We have two states. We have an engagement state, and then we have a patrol state. So let's go ahead and get started. And I am going to, I'm going to put this link in the description for my NPC stuff. This is for a patrol function, to make a simple patrol function. I add to it to find the closest player or non-playing character in the game. And then the third one is going to be this one where you break off. If you don't have this, I'm going to start right from here, but I'm going to put this link in the description, and then we'll go ahead and open this up. It's going to give you, hit edit, it's going to give you that exact game from the end of that video. So I'll pause this because it takes a couple seconds. All right, so this is the end of that second video. This is the game that I pulled up from that link that I showed you. If you know how to make a patrol function and stuff, you can just start from there. But I have my Ralph AI. He is in the world, Ralph AI, he's red shirt guy. And I'm gonna open him up and take a look. We have our simple move, and that is, make that bigger. That is the patrol function. So here's our waypoints. Waypoints are in the world down here. And I open them up, I have 4 waypoints. And then I made a little track. So waypoint 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we start over from the beginning. And I keep track of which waypoint I'm at with this waypoint index. So that will point to one of these parts where you can run toward. Now I'm not going to use this simple move, but I'm going to use this track, right? So I'm going to copy that, Control C, and I'm going to go up here. You'll see this update loop. I'm going to put everything in the update loop. Everything from my simple move that I need. All right, here's my update loop. I'm going to paste that waypoint stuff in there. I'm going to get my simple move. I'm going to disable it. You could delete it if you want. I'm not going to use it anymore. You don't want to have more than one script telling your player where to move to. So we have our track. In order to get things going, we have our humanoid root part. That's great for distance, but humanoid is what we use for the move to. So let me go ahead and get a humanoid. And I didn't do a wait for child in here. I think it'll be safe because it's sitting on the server. I haven't had any problems. But you can put a wait for child humanoid to be safe if you want. All right, so now let's look at our loop. We have this loop here, this while loop. It goes through 10 times a second. Finds the nearest NPC. I think I'm going to call this find nearest character because it also finds playing characters too. Right, find play character. So we got to change that in our AI lib, right? So that's in the AI lib. But also, when I find somebody, I want to engage them. I want to walk over and talk to them. But then, if I go through the loop, if I'm finished talking to them, I'm always going to find that guy because I just walked up to him. So I want to keep track of the last person I talked to and skip over him. So I'll just keep track of the humanoid root part of the last person. So I'll say last humanoid root part, initially set it to nil. Now in here, in my AI lib, I'm going to pass in this last HRP. We haven't set it yet to anything, but I'll show you how to do that. Let's go to our AI lib, right? And we have to change the name because it wasn't quite right. I had find nearest NPC. I'm going to say find nearest char. Right? And I'm also going to pass in the humanoid root part I want to skip over, the last one in this case, but I'm going to just call it skip HRP here because we might want to use this for different stuff. We might want to have a different reason to skip. So we're going to go through the workspace. We're going to find V is going to be all the elements, all the items that are in the workspace as a child. And then anything with a humanoid root part, we're going to take interest in this if statement. But we're also going to say, if the humanoid root part exists and the humanoid root part does not equal the skip HRP, and that will skip over our last guy. He won't be in the count here. So we'll have to find someone new or nobody at all if they're not within a distance of interest. So we'll go back to our update loop. Good, we got that. So now we may or may not find a closest HRP. If we do, we say hi to him. But we want to do more than that now. This is going to be our engagement state. We'll say engage state, right? And then in the engage state, now let's start moving toward the person that we found. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to increase this value because now we're going to move over to him. We're going to go to him. Let's make that 25 studs. Now we're going to find people 25 studs away rather than 10. That was my distance of interest. So let's move over to him. Humanoid. Move to closest HRP's position. That's why I'm using the HRP, because we have a position on it. All right, and then when I get close enough, I want to stop, right? So I'm going to do an if statement. I'm not going to do that move to finish because it's not very flexible. So I want to have something like is goal reached. We haven't written that yet. We're going to. And that's going to take my HRP. It's going to take my closest humanoid root part. And then we're going to have a tolerance. Let's say 8, right? Then we will engage. I'm going to put the end statement after I say hello. So this is complaining. Let's go ahead and copy this and make a function, a little helper function. So copy that and put it right up here. We'll say local function is goal reached. Instead of HRP, I'm just going to say goal because we want this for waypoints too. Goal. Instead of a literal value, I'm going to put a variable, call that tolerance, right? And in this case, the tolerance will be 8, but we may want to make the tolerance tighter for waypoints. I'm going to return a Boolean value, a true or false value. Is the goal reached or is the goal not reached? So I'm going to say return, and I'm going to subtract. I'm going to say HRP position minus the goal position magnitude, which is the value. Oops, my caps locks are on. Magnitude less than tolerance. So if I subtract the humanoid root part and the goal's position, find the magnitude, which is the distance. If it's less than the tolerance, I reached the goal. It'll return a true. Otherwise, it returns a false. So that's nice here. So now, oh, we're close. What do we do now? Well, if we get close, now we have to stop. How do you stop on a move to? Go humanoid, move to, and then I'm going to say HRP position. I'm also going to pass in the second value here. That's just the part that we're going to move to. So you could pass that in. It's a little bit extra. Sometimes I find that they turn easily if they just stop. They might bounce off of something and then turn. This seems to prevent that. I don't know if it does for sure. It was just trial and error. I might have just got lucky when I was testing it out. All right, but we can do a tween also to make sure we're facing that person. We're just not going to do that in this video. That's the good way to do it. And we'll do wait. We're going to pretend we're talking to him. We're done talking to him. So now we're going to say last HRP is the closest HRP. So we're going to skip him. We're all done. We're all done with him. And then let's clear out our text. All right, let's take that text down here, text label. Boom. And we are done our engagement. All right. But since we're done, we're stopped, we're talking, let's go ahead and get them started again. Humanoid, move to, track. I'm going to say WP index, position. All right, so this is going to be our patrol state. So this is going to happen if a closest HRP was not found. So I'll say patrol state. Right, as a comment. And in this case, what can happen? Well, a goal could be reached. So we'll say if is goal reached, HRP, and then we'll do our track square brackets, WP index, and we'll make the tolerance 3. We can get closer to a waypoint. Then we want to increment our WP index. So I have my WP index. All right, so we have our WP index. You've seen me increment these values in different ways. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a little helper function called increment. So I'm going to go up, above my, I'm going to make this a little smaller. There. Above my wait statement. And I'm going to make a function, a local function, and I'm going to call this increment. And it's going to increment a number, and it's going to have a max value. And if we reach our max value, then we're going to roll over to 1 again. Right, so we'll say number equals number plus 1. If number is greater than the max value, then number will equal 1. We'll start over again. We'll return our number. So that's a nice little increment function, a little helper function. Let's go down here, and we'll do our increment. Whoops, that's instance. We want increment. We're going to pass in the waypoint index, and then we're going to pass in the number of values in the track. That's going to be our max. That way, when we get to our fourth waypoint, we can start over at 1. But then if we add waypoints, we don't have to change this. We know that when we get to the end, we're going to start over again. Once we add that waypoint index, then we can do another move to. So we say humanoid, move to, and I will do my track, open bracket, square brackets, WP index dot position. Looking good. So this is my patrol state. This is my engagement state. One thing we need to do when we start the game, we need to start out moving, because if you'll notice, if we're not close to somebody, we're not going to start moving, right? So let's go ahead up here and then do a humanoid move to, and we'll start with our track WP index dot position. All right, I'm going to put some space. I'm going to put a space there. There. It's kind of small now, I know. So that's what we got. You got the top part. I'll make it a little bigger so you can see it. We have our is goal reached. We have our increment helper function. And then this is our little state machine. We get things moving. Now this does not deal with stuck characters. That's going to be another issue. But this will get us so that we can run around in our world. Let's try it out. And here we go. There you go. He goes to Merle. And he's going to go to me. And he goes to Bill. Let me get out of the way because he's going to run back to me. All right. Now he's back on track. Looking good. Nice. And here he comes. And he sees me. Boom. He must have saw me before the waypoint, because he's going to go back to the waypoint. Looking good, looking good. So we have a little state machine, 2 states. We have a patrol state and we have an engagement state. And then we can build from that. We can make them like the person or not like the person. Maybe attack them, maybe offer them something. And that's going to be for coming videos.